Relationships are great, right? Feeling love and loving someone, wanting to be desired and being desired, always having emotional support and someone to take on the world with. And if a beautiful family results from said relationship, even better. But sometimes relationships can be a crutch, and not everyone can have a functional one. Kumiko Yamamoto is a high school graduate who just moved out of her house and into a student complex, and despite its dingy appearance and reputation, she's oddly fond of it. Kumiko is a notably shy, awkward girl from the boonies of Japan, which is why she's so excited about moving out of her hometown for university. On her first day moving in, she meets Kenichi, a sophomore who's kind of an interesting but weird dude. He's charismatic and confident, but almost too confident, to the point of audacity. He invites himself into Kumiko's room upon first meeting her and basically bursts into her life unannounced. He takes the reins, shows her around town and her newfound environments, introduces her to new people and friends, and basically helps her get set up. But his brazen nature gets even more obvious when, on the same day they met, he decides he'll just sleep in the same bed as her in her apartment, even though he definitely has his own bed. And you may be wondering why someone would still stick around and tolerate these actions. Well, it becomes pretty clear early on that the reason Kumiko is so tolerant of Kenichi despite his demanding personality and actions is not only because she's incredibly socially awkward, but also that she's attracted to him and craves his attention and affection. She also clearly has no idea how normal social interactions and even romantic relationships work. Also, because she's from the countryside and is insecure about her romantic inexperience, she decides, despite her own reservations and better judgments, that maybe this is all pretty normal. The poor young fool. Where starts a relationship, right? Well, it gets even stranger because, just look at the title of this video. My Husband Won't Fit is a 2017 novel written by Kodama. It was first released as part of a collection of essays at a doujinshi event in 2014 where it gained a lot of attention. The novel was then adapted into a manga published by Kodansha in 2018 and into a live-action series released on Fuji TV and Netflix a year later, which is the subject of this video. The series is definitely the best adaptation, as it takes its time to portray and highlight the narrative's best aspect, the intensity of its themes, and all the escalations. You see, on the second night alone, still the first episode by the way, the two already decide to get physical, but well, bro couldn't get it in. He just, he couldn't fit. She cannot receive him. Anyway, this obviously is an issue, especially one neither of them anticipated, but they both decide it's probably fine and it won't be an issue for too long. It's Kumiko's first time after all, so it's not a surprise that this could happen and it'll probably be better next time. It wasn't. If anything, it gets worse and it feels like it never gets better. But here's the real twist. Despite what viewers and Kenichi are led to believe, Kumiko isn't actually a virgin, as she's already lost her virginity. The only difference this time is he's probably just the first person she's ever liked or even loved, and that may be why her emotions limit her physically, which is actually kinda sad given what happens later on, and by kinda sad I mean really fucking sad. The next few episodes see the couple dealing with the fact that they won't be able to have sex while still progressing in their relationship and careers. After trying to ignore it, they then try several things to solve it, but to no avail. But life moves on, and it's clear that they both really love each other despite this one issue. One of my favorite parts of this series and why I enjoy watching Japanese shows is how it takes the time to paint a cool picture of the intricacies of life in Japan and sometimes even the average life of a Japanese person. The culture, the differences in thinking and opinions between the old and the young, among other things. That is before all the shit hits the fan. As the series progresses, the masks start to slip, the cracks start to form, and things take a turn for the worse and get really weird. Kumiko joins a chat room for people with odd sexual issues and proclivities that are isolating and make their lives harder. She does this to find any semblance of a community and people she can talk to about her own issue. And for the first few days, she gets just that. She becomes a known member, gets to know the other members pretty well, and even makes some friends. But this is where things get bad. After befriending and talking to one of the other members for a while, she decides to meet them with the genuine belief that they are a woman who also shares her issue that she can talk to in person. But not only was she very wrong about their gender, but she was also wrong in why he decided to meet her, despite it clearly being a very bad idea. And because of her overly timid nature, she follows him into a love hotel where she, well, gets accosted, let's just say. But as messed up as it is, it's at this point that it dawns on both Kumiko and viewers that she can't have regular sex. She can only do it in uncomfortable situations, which is pretty depressing. But it gets worse. As episodes progress, she continues meeting more and more depraved men from this chat room in the guise that she's lending her body to them. But what's actually happening is pretty clear. They're taking advantage of Kumiko, and she's using them and her unfortunate situation to fulfill her physical needs. After all, she discovered early on that Kenichi does the same but with a prostitute, and it seems that this is the only way she can justify her own needs being fulfilled, and maybe the only way she actually can. This is the point in the show where things get really weird and crazy. Stuff starts happening that I can't even show or talk about on YouTube, but believe me when I say it gets really wild. The escalation hits you like a freight train, especially when you consider the juxtaposition between the quieter and slow-burning first few episodes and the insanity of episodes that ensue from then on. The slow deterioration of Kumiko's mental state, the all too real lesson that there are monsters out there waiting to prey on vulnerability, but also the reality that past trauma can sometimes turn us into people we cannot recognize. That when you're out of options, you hold on to anything you can that can make you feel even a little normal or not broken, as strange or bizarre as whatever that is. And this messaging is what this series does so well. It also notably puts a limelight on Japanese culture as it pertains to sex work and relationships. How it's pretty strange that a lot of Japanese people don't find sex work cheating if it's purely physical, though it's a bit more understandable when you consider Kumiko and Kenichi's situation, but it doesn't really make it right or stop it from hurting. And that's another sad part about this series. It showcases how you never really know all that's going on in a relationship. You can never fully tell what your partner is up to and just hope they won't betray your trust, which is kind of scary. The series also highlights the sad reality that people like Kumiko faces with conditions like vaginismus, such as not being able to have kids. But despite all the depressing aspects, the show is incredibly entertaining and incredibly memorable. Though there are some aspects that are kind of dumb, like Kumiko not getting a diagnosis or even ways to manage her condition, which forces her to just go out instead, among other things. I won't spoil how the show ends because I think you should check it out, and because I didn't even bring up other narrative elements like Kumiko struggles with a bratty student who also has her own fair share of problems at home, or her awkward relationship with her parents. Also, fun fact, the original novel is actually an autobiography, which means most, if not all, of the events are real. Yep. Through it all though, My Husband Can't Fit is an insane but impeccable show that I just can't seem to get over for all its good and bad.